did you have, I'm assuming there's probably like a major sense of like imposter syndrome at that point.
Yeah, you're gonna get imposter syndrome in this field, 100%. I was like, great. I finally got pen testing. I've been working up for this for so years. Thrown into a cloud assessment with like no prior experience to like cloud. It's like, great. Yeah, I'm just gonna hang up the towel. I have no idea what I'm doing. There's no point for me to even try.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely felt that way myself. I can definitely relate to that. So what advice would you give someone who is experiencing that on their, or in their early in their pen testing career?
Uh, I would say like try not to get overwhelmed, but that's really hard to do in the moment.
Hmm.
Lean on your colleagues. It's probably the biggest thing I would say. They're there to help you and support you.
Okay, yeah, that's yeah. Sometimes it's hard to reach out for help when you first start your first pen testing job because they brought you in to do a job and you're like, well, and you're going in pretty confident, but then you're like you're throwing on your first test and you're like, well, I never done this and this and this before,
Yeah.
but I don't want to ask about it because then I'm just gonna look like a big fake and like I don't belong here. So it's definitely challenging, and that's definitely some good advice that I actually probably need to be using myself.
It kind of goes back to like the what you said earlier. Kind of dabble in everything just so you get that baseline experience to try and limit. Even though you don't like specialize in everything, try and dabble into every kind of I guess sub pen testing field that you possibly can, just to kind of less the feeling of being overwhelmed when you get thrown into the assessment. Because if you do, then even if you didn't like specialize in cloud, if you studied a little bit maybe about Azure, AWS, at least like the tools that are maybe being used, how it's kind of built a little bit, you'd have like a better understanding going into it rather than just like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm screwed essentially.
Okay, final question. Do you have any cybersecurity hot takes or hidden wisdom you would like to share?
uh
I feel
I
like
would
you've
say
already
more
dropped a lot of hidden
towards,
wisdom, but feel free to drop more if you got more.
I would say like the hot take of pen testing is it's gearing more towards like web app assessments than, I would say web app and cloud are probably the two biggest. So if you prefer doing those, great. That's awesome. Keep studying up on it. If you're not, it can seem, at least right now through like companies that are hiring for pen testers, it can seem kind of discouraging that like the testing that you're, I guess, most interested in isn't necessarily being supported. But if it's the only, if you may have to like bite the bullet, and if you genuinely want to get in this field and you feel like your only shot is doing web app testing, then you're gonna have to go for it, and maybe you have to hold out for it for maybe a year or two to get that pen testing experience, provable experience under your belt, so you can then either move internally within a team that maybe you say you want to do more like IoT assessments or mobile rather than specifically web or cloud, or move to a different position or company that is has that, I guess, role available but needs a little bit more like provable just general pen testing experience.
Well, thank you for the words of wisdom there. I agree with you there. That makes a lot of sense. That's really good advice.